Today I want to talk about scene description, which is everything you find in a screenplay that's not a scene header, a character name, or dialogue like this. This is scene description, or action. It's pretty much everything you would see on screen if you were an audience member sitting there watching the movie projected. It's probably the most overlooked part of screenwriting and often the most important part. So today let's look at how we can make this a little bit better. This example actually came from a script I found. I've changed some names around, but whoever read it shouldn't be embarrassed because we're here to make it better. So let's take a look and let's read it aloud. Interior hotel night. Mike is carrying a large tool satchel. He is walking in a backstage area of the hotel. He is wearing a radio headset. Also in that radio headset is a tiny camera above his right ear. Phil is sitting safely in his hotel room watching Dan's transmission on a laptop computer. Phil is talking to him through the headset. Phil, there should be a ventilation shaft about 10 yards to the left. Do you see it? So this is kind of an alias scene. You can imagine Sydney Bristow walking someplace backstage, and then there's the guys who are back at Langley or wherever, the Sydney Bristow SD6. What was that? They are talking her through what she should do. Unfortunately, this is not a very well done version of that. So let's try to make it up to at least, CSI kind of level. Interior hotel night. Well, the problem really starts with the scene descriptions. They're not specific enough. We're not just in a hotel. We are in a backstage area of the hotel. It says in the next line. So, interior backstage night. Let's get rid of that whole sentence so don't leave it dangling there. Also, we have a problem with Phil here. Phil is sitting safely in his hotel room. Well, then he's not in the same scene. If people are in different places, different locations, they're in different scenes, and they need their own scene header. So let's give Phil his own scene header. Hotel room, night. Let's get rid of hotel room, just so we don't leave that dangling there. So now we have Mike and Phil in different places, and we are going to be connecting them with this amazing little tiny camera in the headset. Let's talk through what's happening here first, though. Mike is carrying a large tool satchel. I don't know what a satchel is. Let's make that a toolbox. Also, let's try to avoid so much subject, verb, object. Let's start with carrying a large toolbox. Mike. Well, we're backstage someplace. It could be an empty backstage, but that's a pretty bad episode of Alias. Let's have some other people be around. So we're backstage. I should say the script is supposed to be Vegas, so let's give us some stage crew, some dancers. Mike makes his way past stage crew, capitalized because they're new people, and dancers. What are they doing? Well, they're busy setting up for rehearsal. He is wearing a radio headset. Because Mike is a few dozen words back there, let's put Mike back in there. Mike is wearing a radio headset. When a character is simply wearing something, as an audience, we don't tend to notice it. So let's have him do something with it. Mike keeps one hand on his radio headset as if talking with a supervisor. Okay, this is a pretty standard gag. That sense of like, oh, no one bother me because I am busy talking on this headset. What is he saying? Yes, sir. What's his excuse? I will get the AC running. That could be better, frankly, but this is not a dialogue discussion. So another lesson will make a better sentence for that. Yes, sir, I will get the AC running. Now, this is a problematic sentence below it here. Also in that radio headset is a tiny camera above his right ear. Well, unless we're going to zoom in and see that, which is, I guess, an option, you could really just kind of cut to the next scene because we're going to see stuff from Mike's perspective and we'll get it because we're not idiots and we've seen TV and movies before. Interior hotel room night. Phil is sitting safely watching. Phil is watching live video from a tiny camera mounted in Mike's headset. Seated at a laptop computer. Why did I do this seated at a laptop computer instead of trying to stick it in here? There were kind of too many clauses happening here. Mike is watching live video on a laptop computer from a tiny camera mounted in Mike's headset. You couldn't parse that, so break that out to the start. Seated at a laptop computer, Phil is watching live video from a tiny camera mounted in Mike's headset. Phil is talking to him through the headset. Well, again, we have seen a movie before in our life, so let's get rid of that sentence. Phil. Now, we have two choices here. We could move back to Mike's perspective, and then Phil really would be voiceover here. Or we could stay on Phil's side, and we could do either one. If we were to move back and forth between them, we could actually do the amazing intercut. And when we do an intercut, then suddenly Mike reaches the back of the stage. Intercut basically means the last two scenes you've seen, we're going to be moving back and forth between them, and we're not going to say hotel room and backstage again and again. It's a time saver there. Phil, voiceover. There should be a ventilation shaft. I have no idea why ventilation is capitalized. About 10 yards to the left. Do you see it? Well, hopefully he does, but let's also fix this 10. Whenever you have numbers in dialogue, you need to spell them out. That's just sort of a good rule of thumb. Actors get some sort of flummoxed sometimes by a lot of numbers that they have to read, and there's also multiple ways you could read a number. Interior backstage night. Let's read our scene. Interior backstage night. Carrying a large toolbox, Mike makes his way past stage, crew, and dancers, busy setting up for rehearsal. Mike keeps one hand on the radio headset as if talking with his supervisor. Yes, sir, I'll get the AC running. Interior hotel room night. Seated at a laptop computer, Phil is watching live video from a tiny camera mounted in Mike's headset. Intercut. Mike reaches the back of the stage. There should be a ventilation shaft about 10 yards to the left. Do you see it? End of scene for now. Obviously, this is going to continue being intercut, and there's hopefully going to be more complications. But for now, it's a little bit better reading of this snippet of scene that we started with. Thanks.